Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at Gran Turismo 5 in 2025. So I've done a playthrough of the game and I'm just going to be giving you a voiceover and just tell you what happened really.
Before we get into it though, we'd just like to apologise for the delay of this video. Recording from Gran Turismo 5 did take a bit of time, so I apologise for that. And the audio in this video isn't the best. I'll get sorted for the next one.
Okay, this is actually my first time playing Gran Turismo 5. I've done a couple of races on this game before, but never a full playthrough. Done GT4, GT6, but yeah, never GT5. So, getting into it, the first event was the Sunday Cup. Licenses aren't required for anything in this game, it's an optional extra, so no need to focus on them for now. And I was too low level for the special events, so Sunday Cup it was. I bought an even GT4, which made the game very easy, so I wanted something with lower power to make the game a bit more challenging. And like this gold Yaris that I found, about 60 horsepower, something like that, and I bought that relatively cheap. So out of all the Yaris in the game, this one was the bottom of the range, so definitely a bit of a challenge using this car. So I entered the Sunday Cup, Autumn Ring completed easily, marking the first win of the playthrough. The Grand Valley was a lot tougher due to the Yaris being just down on power compared to the competition. Best I could do was 7th despite multiple attempts. And Takuba was an easy gold as well. Tried the FF Cup, but there was no way I was really going to get anywhere. Then I thought about entering the Vitz Cup. So it's worth noting I put some upgrades on this car, oil change as well, now at around 80 horsepower. Even then the Yaris was still down on power, but a little corner cut round Fiji helped me get the win. Then I noticed a couple of cars waiting to be delivered. So I got a Prius for winning the Yaris race. Actually slower than the Yaris, so it'd probably just sit there in the garage. At this point I'll introduce a piece of junk counter. If there's a car that I think is just not very good and realistically I won't use and probably sell, I'll introduce this piece of junk counter as you'll see on the screen. It just saves me going over every single car that I win. But I also won this GT86 car for 2012. So I mentioned that licenses aren't compulsory, but I'm going to start with the National B license just to get that done. After about 10 minutes I had the whole B license done with all silver, nothing too challenging here really. A couple of attempts for each one. Piece of junk number 2 obtained, but I did get this funny Daihatsu concept. So I took this Daihatsu concept and after about 5-10 minutes I won the K-Car Cup, winning another piece of junk, and this one looked like it would tip over though. At this point I had to take the plunge, there was nothing really I could do with the current set of cars. So luckily I had a few credits and I found this Honda Accord around 20k. Just over 200 horsepower, so it looked like a very nice car. I had done an oil change and then I had to firstly complete the rest of the Sunday Cup. So the superior power completed Sunday Cup with ease, meaning the Sunday Cup was all done. I actually got a Yaris again from this. Better than my old Yaris, but because of all the upgrades it's, not as good, so probably won't get used. Managed to win the whole of the FF Cup with this thing, completed. Once again, didn't really have too much difficulty with that. But I did get this lovely Civic you can see here in red. Much more power than I thought, with just under 160 horsepower. Revs really high as well, quite a nice car. It's worth noting that after I get a car, no matter where I get it from, I immediately change the oil, as this gives around 5 to 10% power upgrade. So the World Compact Car Championship was simple with the Civic, and I got all golds in that around 10 minutes, boarding this Hommel Berlinetta, a French mid-engine roadster, definitely ticking off some niches there. I remember seeing this car in GT4, but it'd be my first time actually driving it. Always keen to try a new car. I'm sitting at just over 160 horsepower, basically the same as a Civic. At this point I did the National A license. I found the Evora and the Focus license both very generous with their timing. The BMW one took me a couple of tries, but nothing too difficult really. I think all silvers once again, which awarded this Nissan Micra Cup and some Mazda car. Forgot really what it was. I then unlocked the special races, so I did the first 2 karting events. And then I got to level 5 to unlock the Amateur League. So I thought, well, I may as well make a start, so I bought this old MX-5, a couple of upgrades, and then a boring 5 laps around Takuba, winning this Mazda thing, which probably won't get used. Then I needed a bit of money, so I started the NASCAR Cup under the specials. Quite a good way to make some money early game. You can get bronze, silver, and you get about 40k, which isn't too bad per challenge. Probably can make around 100k in 10 minutes, I thought. I did get a bit overconfident, and I tried to do the Amateur Club and Cup with the Hommel. Despite getting 2 golds, it span out on Tokyo and just didn't have the power to keep up. So I got a disappointing 8th, and somehow the Skyline won on points, so I only got 2nd. But I had the money, so I did a little bit of spending. I bought 2 cars, an E-Type Jag, which is one of my favourite cars, and a Chevrolet Camaro SS from 2000, always a good choice for the Gran Turismo games. So let's start with the E-Type. European Classic Cup was easy, awarding this VW car that I spoke about before, but unfortunately it's another piece of junk. Then I started doing the World Compact Car Race, but the E-Type was so fast it became quite boring, so I'd just do one race every time I logged on. And then 3 sessions I completed it, winning the Subaru 360, once again a piece of junk. The E-Type cost me around 40k, but I probably won that back in winning, so not a bad investment. And talking about investments, this Camaro cost me just 17k. Having over 300 horsepower stock, it was by far the fastest car in my garage. Camaro won the FR Challenge despite some relatively tough opponents, and winning this Toyota car, which seemed okay to be fair. One event left in Beginners League, which I'd have to come back to a little bit later. So with more cash, I bought some more cars, an RX-7 you can see here. Quite like the car, cheap, around 20k, and this would help me guarantee the Clubman Cup win and hopefully win the Japanese 90s. Also bought this Fiat here for the Italian event, trying to save as much money as possible. Now this 110 horsepower Fiat costs the same as a 300 horsepower Camaro. Anyways, the Japanese 90s event with the RX-7 became very boring because the cars were just so slow. At this point I was confused whether I had the right difficulty for the game, as the opponents seemed powerful, but when in the race they just went really slow, and I'd get into first place within the first lap, maybe in the first few seconds. Then I'd just sit there for the rest of the race. However, the Italian event was a different story. This car was just slow no matter what I did. This V6 Alpha you can see here was just too fast on the straights, and the Stratos was nowhere to be seen. I spent a lot of money on suspension power and other upgrades. I've managed to get it to 140 horsepower. Even then I had to do some dirty driving, but I did manage to win the event somehow. Also attempted this in the European Hot Hatch. It did okay, but it wasn't really enough to win. I was getting around 3rd place. I didn't really attempt the other 2 races. Potentially could have done it, but I didn't really want to spend even more money on a bad car that I didn't even like. So I went shopping again, saved up some money to buy a Dodge Charger RT. Once again, one of my favourite cars, nearly 440 horsepower. So the American muscle car was the logical next step. This was a few laps at Monza, simple enough. The car topped out at 120 miles an hour, while cars like the Mustang kept on going, despite power upgrades to the car. Now this is very bad for a top speed heavy track like Monza. I didn't really want to spend over 20k on a customisable gearbox just for one event realistically. Eventually I spent quite a bit of money including the gearbox, and it did comfortably win the event. A very good prize car actually, the Buick Special with 550 horsepower. Unfortunately I couldn't really use it anywhere. Then I found this VW Beetle Cup car in the dealership for around 20k. Always one of these back in GT3, but I never really managed to get it. So around 200 horsepower, but almost race spec and all that stuff. A really nice car to drive actually, probably the best handling car of the playthrough so far, and this helped win the European Hot Hatch event really easily. The opponents didn't even stand a chance. I won the Lupo Cup car as a reward for this, and now that I was level 10 I tested out the Lupo race in a professional league which had just been unlocked. The Lupo Cup cars were really slow and it was a very boring race around the Nürburgring. At least I got some cash though. About the prize car was another Lupo, standard ones, unfortunately piece of junk there. Next, the Muscle Car Championship. For this I didn't really want to use a Charger as I thought it couldn't really take any turns. But the Buick couldn't be used either for some reason, so I bought this Mustang here. Looking back, probably not a great purchase, less than 300 horsepower. I should have just used a Camaro, don't know why I didn't really. The Mustang wasn't good enough, so I had to give up on that idea. I'd come back to it later. Have a bit of a break, I did the International C licence. I got this Acura prototype and this ASL Garaya. They look okay, each with some pretty good power, but I'm not sure their uses just yet. Then I wanted to do the sports truck race. I remember this from GT4, and as you know, it rewarded a very fast truck as a prize. My hope was it rewarded something similar, which would, quite help with progression. But I was in for a shock, so I spent a few sessions waiting for a truck to appear in a used car dealership. Eventually I found this Ford SVT Lightning, a few upgrades, weight reduction, that kind of stuff, and Laguna Seca was done relatively easily. But I'm not sure what happened on Daytona. The AI must have been turned to the max or something, because they would make me crash out every single time. They'd just hit me and I'd go into a spin. I don't know how, but definitely the most difficult race of the playthrough so far. It took me maybe 20 attempts and a lot of upgrades to win this. But I'd finally done the event and this was the prize. Big disappointment to say the least, another piece of junk. Hommel won the French Championship pretty easily. Another Hommel gave me a bit of a challenge at Sarth, but it was an entertaining race, winning a 2CV, another piece of junk. Then I made my first big purchase of the playthrough. This was from the dealership, actually, its first purchase from the dealership as well. The Lamborghini Gallardo. I really like this car, 505 HP standard. So I had a plan. I was going to use it to win the Gallardo event on the professional league in Rome, and I mean this event was quite straightforward, getting a bit of cash, and I got this really nice Lamborghini Countach as a prize. And this I'd use on the Supercar Nostalgia event in the Amateur League, which was also done quite easily, winning the Dome Zero. Very interesting car from the 70s, but it does look a lot more futuristic. And this would be used to win the Japanese Classic event in the Beginner League, marking the completion of both Beginner and the Amateur Leagues. So for the gift card ticket from the Beginner, I got a Honda NSX, pretty nice car, and the Level 9 Amateur one got me this Audi Pikespeed Quattro. Not sure of its use, but it does look pretty cool. Then I bought this TBR from the used car dealership because I quite like it, and this cleared the British lightweights with ease, winning another piece of junk. Now at this point I started looking at the special events and doing some research and that kind of stuff, and I started practicing for a race which I'd try to complete later. Expert mode was now unlocked, level 15, so I had a lot of work to do. Now I did another Lamborghini event, and this got me a Lancia Delta rally car. Very good car. Didn't really know what to think of this car, but after I drove it I was shocked. Now I took it to the turbo race and just look what happened. I won this Mitsubishi piece of junk, probably won't get used. Surprising at this stage of the game, but anyway I found this Altezza touring car for a cheap price. And I tested this out by golding the Clubman Cup, marking the full completion of the Amateur League. Then I needed a Ferrari, so I bought this 458 lovely car and I won the Ferrari race, but the Enzo certainly tested me. I got this Ferrari California. Then I had to do some cleaning up just to clean some events. So I bought this Mini from the dealership, few upgrades, winning this classic Mini, piece of junk. Bought a Viper, which was used to complete the classic muscle car championship that I talked about earlier, winning this quite nice Dodge Challenger. And for the Clubman Cup I got this tuned Civic, which was quite nice. Kart Championship in Amateur League was also completed, and let me tell you about the special event that I was doing earlier. So at this stage of the game I knew I needed a race car, but I was just thinking about how to get one. So I found this AMG driving series. In the amateur level, if you get all golds, you get this AMG SLS race car. So Sector 1 was gold in a few attempts. I think most people are better at the first sector. Sector 2 was quite challenging, best I could do was silver. Third sector was golded, quite straightforward. Fourth was a little bit harder, but I managed to do it. Then I went back to the second sector with a few changes to my driving style. I'd actually done it with half a second to spare. Now, a couple of days later, I attempted the one lap thing at the end, and I was shocked at how fast I needed to be, and to make no mistakes, and also there were other cars present on the track, which made it significantly more difficult.
So I'll just quickly summarise what happened here. It took me a lot of tries, probably about 3 hours in total, but eventually I was able to complete it, and this is what happened.
I managed to get the AMG CLK, also a Mercedes 2.5 Evo to go with it, which I didn't realise I'd get. But let's take a look at this AMG CLK. So with an oil change, 800 horsepower. Now I took it to the MR Sports Cup in the Expert League, and look what happened here. There's absolutely no competition. So from here, pretty smooth sailing. I'd around from 500k credits to do whatever I wanted, and a race car. So if you'd like to see a part 2 of what happened, hopefully I can try and finish the game in the next part. If not, then it's up to you, I guess. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.